And hello, movie lovers, and welcome to the show. Today, I have my good friend Tomeka with me. We're going to be talking about The Santa Claus. This movie came out in 1994. And without further ado, let's go on ahead. Let's start this review up with The Santa Claus. And hey, Tomeka, how are you?
Hey.
Hey, it's good to have you on the show. I do appreciate you wanting to do The Santa Claus. This is probably one of my favorite movies to actually watch during the holiday season. To me, it's not Christmas unless I watch this movie, Home Alone 1 and Home Alone 2. And matter of fact, you actually were on both of those reviews with me last
Yeah,
year.
I was. Look at me, full circle.
You see, it always comes back. It's just like history.
That's deep. That's deep.
Yeah, it's deep. It's deep.
Mm-hmm.
But speaking of deep, we're actually going to go deep within the Santa Claus. We're going to do this scene by scene. We're going to strip away the nostalgia later on. But I want to talk with Tomeka right now to talk about where do you hold this nostalgically? Best out of 10, and where were you when you first discovered the Santa Claus?
It's probably 8 for me.
Okay.
And first discovered it, I think my dad, a coworker of my dad's, gave him the VHS, I believe. And then he was like, hey, I got this VHS of some movie called Santa Claus. Maybe you'd be interested in it. And I was like, okay. Because it was 94, right? When this came
94.
Yeah, so I was a kid. So I watched it and I was like, ooh, this is magical. And I feel like it's been in my life ever since that fateful day that some coworker gave this VHS to my dad. It wasn't bootleg or anything. It was a legitimate VHS. Anyway, that's how I was introduced to it, through VHS. I didn't get to see it in the movies until 2 and 3.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So for me, I'm going to go a 9.5.
Okay.
Or 9.8, because the fact that I did grow up. I remember watching the trailers for this as a kid growing up. I remember my friends and I doing skits of it in third grade of the trailer. Yeah, we actually did this whole entire bit where we're talking about, like, with that one scene where Tim Allen shows up in the doctor's office. He goes, "You call this a little wait? This is not a little wait." Yeah, we did that skit as well in the classroom for like a talent show kind of thing. We're bored in the South. We'll do anything.
Okay, but don't include me in that mess.
You're like on the east side. We're down south.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. But we're bored down here, so they let kids do stupid stuff for entertainment. Okay. But no, what I have to say about this though too is, okay, so I remember going to the theater as a kid. It was me and my mom that went to go see it. Then after that, a group of me and my friends and my mom and her friend got together, and we all went to the theater to see this movie. And it was my second time seeing it in the theater. So I got to see this twice in the theaters as a kid, and I love this. I love this every single time I get a chance to even watch it. It's not Christmas unless I watch this movie, but I really love it nostalgically. So that's where I'm at.
I saw it in theaters. It seems like it would have been really magical to just see something like that in theaters.
It was really awesome to see that as a kid in theaters, to be honest with you. It was crowded in the movie theater, stuff like that. It was it was a great experience to see this movie. Okay. So now that we talked about it nostalgically,
okay,
we're going to strip away that. We don't even know. Here's the thing. The nostalgic part is gone now. It's gone. It's forgotten.
Nobody heard about the not bootleg copy that I got from
I think everybody had some VHS tapes that were bootleg.
It wasn't bootleg. It was a weird time.
It's a weird time. Okay, I got you.
It was a weird time. It's weird.
I'll say that next time when something like that happens. It was just a weird time, dude. It was just a weird
time. You had to be there.
Yeah. So I just want to mention this. It had a budget of $22 million.
Ooh.
It made $189.8 million.
Mm.
So for that time, it was a home run for them, for Disney.
Mm-hmm.
So that's something that I thought was really interesting at how much it actually made, especially for being a wintertime movie.
Yeah. Yeah. And Tim was still doing not Home Alone.
Home Improvement.
Home Improvement. Yeah.
Might as well be Home Alone as much as the actor will.
He was doing Home Improvement too, right?
Right. Yeah, he was doing Home Improvement.
Wow. Jeez.
Uh,
Wait, was he doing Toy Story? This came out a few years after, right?
yeah, a few years after this, he did Toy Story.
I'm just wondering, was this his first feature film?
Yeah, I think he did some other stuff besides that. No, Jungle to Jungle was a year or two after this, though, too.
Oh yeah, that's right. Dang,
yeah.
you're taking me back. Okay, sorry, focus.
It's okay. So, so let's go ahead. Let's talk about this non-nostalgically.
Okay, got it.
So, ho, ho, ho. Welcome to Movie Loversunite, where movie magic and holiday cheer collide. Today, we're sliding down the chimney of a nostalgia to unwrap one of the most iconic Christmas classics ever, The Santa Claus, from Tim Allen's hilarious transformation into the big guy, to the heartfelt message of believing in the magic of Christmas. We're diving into every snowy detail of this Yuletide favorite. And then here's the thing. Whether you're a longtime fan or someone discovering it for the first time, this is the podcast episode that'll warm your heart like a cup of hot cocoa by the fire. So grab your favorite Christmas sweater and join us as we break down the laughter, the feels, and all the holiday spirit that makes the Santa Claus a true gift that keeps on giving. So let's get slaying. So
what?
I just turned that into a horror movie.
God. Let's get slammed.
So Scott Calvin, played by Tim Allen, is a divorced father and his executive with a young son, Charlie. Unfortunately, Scott and his son aren't very close, as Scott spends a lot of time at work. On Christmas Eve, Charlie comes over to spend the night with Scott before going back to his mother's for Christmas Day. That night, they are awakened by a clatter on the roof. Going outside to investigate, Scott can see someone on the roof. He yells at the trespasser, which causes the man to lose his balance and fall to his death. He later appears to be Santa Claus. So let's talk about this. So you have the whole entire Christmas party at this toy company that Charlie's dad's a part of, which is Tim Allen's character which is Scott. And he's at the Christmas party, he's making jokes, and then you had the scene being played out where he's heading home and he's making up some type of excuse as well. Because remember, he goes, "Oh, the traffic is just backed up over here." Remember? He's like, "The traffic is just backed up. I'm going to be late coming over, but I'll be home soon." And then as that's being played out, you have I love how this is actually very much like a Christmas theme. It feels very atmospheric to the point where I just love it. It feels like Christmas. And you have the little kids looking in the windows. And of course you have elves that's looking in the windows with the kids and stuff like that too, which I thought was really cool on how they did that, because I didn't notice that when I was a kid, noticing that there was elves looking in the window or anything. I just thought that was pretty neat of how they did that.
I noticed that either.
And then, of course, you have the National Guard with Santa Claus and stuff like that. This is very Christmassy. Then you finally get over to Scott's house. His wife's mad at him. Then you have Neil in the car. You have Charlie that's doesn't want to be anywhere in proximity with Scott. Mm-hmm. And basically he's like, "So where's Neil at?" He's in the car. and Neil's like just waving to him and everything. And so they go inside. But here's the thing. I don't think Neil's the bad guy here or anything like that with this. I mean, I just feel like he's just trying to be there for his wife.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I feel. I feel like Neil's not a douchebag or anything like that. But here's the thing. With the way Scott is acting, it's like we're supposed to hate this guy just as much as he does.
Yeah. I did. I bought into Scott. I was like, oh, I hate that Neil guy. You're right, Scott. He's a dirtbag.
But what did you think? I
Even
mean,
though
yeah,
as an adult, you're like, well, he seems like a pretty cool dude. He's a bit dorky,
yeah,
but and I think part of that you have to blame the mom too. Like, why does the boy act this way? I know that Scott wasn't there enough for his son, and he's a workaholic, but it's kind of like, what is the mom saying too, that the kid has disdain for his dad? And that's what I was telling you too, like watching this as an adult, you look at, oh, this is really touching on the after effects of divorce with a young
right,
child, and how parents navigate during divorce and Christmas. And then you got the other conflict between the ex-husband and the new husband. Ex-husband don't like the new husband, and then it's something simple as Santa Claus. You know how Charlie was being bullied at school, and the
right.
kid told him there's no Santa Claus. And then Neil came in, or maybe he went to Neil. I don't know how that happened, but he was like, it's a concept of the mind.
Right,
You
because he
know?
winds up telling him that there's no such thing as Santa Claus, right?
Yeah, he's like, it's like a concept. Santa Claus is kind of a concept. So in a way, he'll kind of telling him there is no Santa Claus. It's all in the mind. And then the kid is impressionable, and he's like, "Oh yes, there's no Santa Claus. Neil told me there isn't. I'm too much of a child for that." And he's like, "What, 5?" And he's trying
Yeah,
to
acting
talk
like
like
he's
an
20.
adult. Yeah, and I was like, and I would kind of be mad too. Like, oh, I want you to, talk to me about my son not knowing that there's, like you telling my son there's no Santa Claus, things like that. And these
Mhm.
kind of decisions you leaving me out of. And,
Right, because
and then they got
everybody,
that little fight back and forth.
right,
It
because
was
if you remember, he said,
so,
if we're gonna mess up our kids, I want to be involved in it, even though we're gonna be both of us doing it.
yeah.
You
Yeah,
know?
he kind of had a point there. I know it's something that's silly like Santa Claus, but it goes to a much deeper theme between the
Yeah,
two of them and their dynamics. Like, you could tell this divorce is raw and nasty.
yeah, it definitely
Yeah.
is. And there's also that other thing that's like you mentioned with the arguing back and forth. You know,
Yeah.
and he goes, "We're not fighting. It's kind of like cats and dogs."
Yeah.
and,
It makes me
and
wonder, like, is this divorce fresh or something? Or it's only been a few years, because it's just
it
like
seems like a
raw.
1 year. Doesn't it just seem like that Neil's just been around for a year, and Scott's
Yeah.
just trying to get over it?
Yeah. It's like he's not over it. He's angry with himself, because he's not there for his kid, or maybe he just buries himself in his work. I don't know. Like I said, I saw this as a kid, and I didn't understand what was going on. And I was like, oh, okay, they're fighting. Oh boy, whatever. Ha ha ha. Oh my God, he's so funny. But then as an adult, you see it, you like, oh, some deep stuff back here we got
Yeah,
to
there's a lot
unpack.
going on.
Yeah. And
No
then I
wonder
started to
why.
turn into Neil, and I hate it.
And you know what's funny though? He goes, "Well, you don't want to leave Dr. Pinhead waiting."
Yeah.
And
Like the
then
insults. Oh,
right, and then he winds up. But the only thing I don't like what Neil does is he honks the horn at his wife to come
yeah, that's
outside
not
and tells
good.
her, "No." I'll be like, "No, no, no, dude. You're in the doghouse when she comes out of that house. Yes, she's pissed off at Calvin, but she wasn't pissed off at you. Now she's pissed off at you and him."
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah, because they had to go to his parents' house to have
right,
dinner, and it was only supposed to be a drop off. Like Charlie's supposed to be dropped off at his dad's with a gift,
right,
and then Neil in there getting impatient, not listening to his own advice because he's a psychiatrist, right?
right.
Yeah.
And then another thing too that happens is she's like, "Well, let me give you the number to where you can reach me at." Now,
Mhm.
this was cut out of the Disney Plus version of it.
Oh,
And this is actually the version that I grew up with in the theater.
okay.
And she gives him the number. And he goes, oh, 1-800-SPANK-ME. I think I know that number.
Oh, yeah, I remember that line.
Yeah. So they cut that out.
What? Wait a
the
minute.
Disney.
Wait, John.
What?
They let Deadpool and Wolverine be on Disney Plus, but they're gonna cut out 1-800-SPANK-ME. Make it
It's a
make
Disney
sense.
movie. It's not owned by Fox. It's actually a Disney
Oh,
movie.
okay. All
So
right.
yeah. But
It's
as
a
a
Disney
kid,
movie, but they put 1-800-SPANK-ME in it.
yeah.
Okay. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
But yeah, I remember as a kid, my brother and I calling that number.
What happened?
It was a hotline, all right.
All right now.
Like press 1 for horny girls, press 2 for this, press 3 for that.
Yeah, that joke totally went over my. I remember, and I was
Well, my brother and I were like, well, let's call it.
I remember as a kid, and I was like, oh, okay, that's weird. Okay.
But let's now, okay, so now we're getting into the whole entire deal where now Scott is making dinner, making the Christmas dinner. And I like how it zooms in on this thing where it looks like Calvin's really cooking up some food for him and Charlie. It has a nice little dining area, and the cameras is giving us all the turkey and the ham. I'm like, damn, Scott, you're doing good. Then all of a sudden, it's just a TV that's on that we're watching. So we're basically watching TV on TV, and it's Scott winds up burning the turkey, which makes them go over. And they went to several other places. I don't know if Disney Plus did this or not, but there was like several other places that they stop at before going over to Denny's.
Is it Naboo or something like that? It's some fancy place he wanted to take him, but it was closed because this is Christmas Eve, right?
Right.
And then they wound up, at Denny's. I didn't hear IHOP in that or Waffle House, but that's fine.
I like Denny's. It's an American institution.
I understand, but Waffle House is American too.
Yeah, well, this is fancier.
Excuse me. Denny's is more fancy.
I like how Charlie's fighting him though, because I don't want to eat here. He goes, "Come on, it's an American institution." And so they go inside. You have these Japanese guys fighting over things inside the restaurant. Then they're finally seated. Judy goes over there and he's like, okay, Judy, I think we'll start off with some nice eggnog. We're out. Okay.
Well, I don't like eggnog.
Yeah. I don't like eggnog. Well, we're out. Okay. Yeah. I'm like, this kid is aggravating the hell out of me.
Chocolate milk. We're out. Plain milk's fine. I was like, oh.
And then you have after that, I like how Scott looks over at the next table and he looks at the father, goes, burn the turkey. There's his own.
Yeah. Can we just give the extra her flowers Judy? Because she was so convincing as a waitress.
She was.
I mean, it was like the camera wasn't even there. And I was like, oh, I feel like her disgruntledness for working on Christmas Eve. And then she's like, everything's out. What you want? I just want to get off work now. She stole the show. She almost stole the scene from Tim Allen.
So now you just want a separate spinoff with just Judy, the waitress.
Yes, just Judy. What did she do on Christmas? That's what I want to know.
But yeah, she definitely has that presence of like, I don't want to be here. I don't want to be working on Christmas Eve. Bob probably called in. So now I'm stuck working Bob's shift because Bob's a douchebag.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
But yeah, Judy is definitely, the actress that played Judy is definitely convincing as a waitress, which I have to say that she has a job of selling it like that.
Yes.
Then after that, it cuts into him reading the bedtime story of the night before Christmas. And he goes, what does a night such a clatter mean? And, and then he has to explain, it's not a ladder, it's a clatter. It means a loud noise. And then then they go to bed, and then they're standing on top of the roof. You hear Charlie inside the room. He hears the noise. And yeah, what do you think?
Yeah, I have to admit, when I saw heard as a kid, I was like, "Oh, it's not clatter. Oh, it's not ladder." I thought it was roll. He said, "Roll such a ladder," and I was like, "Oh, that's not the way it is."
Right.
A roll such a clatter.
Better.
And he's like, "What?" There came a big noise, and then he kept saying, "What?" Like he's Stone Cold Steve Austin. What? 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 I was like, if you don't go to bed.
Charlie got, I'll be real with you. Charlie got on my nerves as an adult.
Yeah, as
I'm
an
like,
adult,
this
yes.
kid needs to just shut up. And we'll get into that whole entire thing, okay?
Mhm.
Because you and I had this conversation yesterday when
Yeah,
we were
we
texting
sure
back and
did.
forth on it.
Mhm.
But you know, then all of a sudden Scott hears the noise up there, so he goes on ahead and he tells Charlie, stay in the bedroom,
Mhm.
stay in the house.
Yeah.
Nope. He goes
Do
on
you-
ahead, he follows him behind him.
Yeah. Do you know
but
the number to 911? Yeah, 911.
1-1, duh, Dad.
And Tim Allen, his skinnies and his little
Boxers.
briefs.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, those some short briefs, man.
It's the 90s.
This is true. They silk too.
I don't think so. He has all pajamas. He had better
I know
pajamas
he
when he
got
was Santa
some-
Claus than he
they
was.
were- They were some nice briefs. I gotta admit that.
But you know, I like how he scares the hell out of Santa Claus. Santa Claus falls off the roof, and then he's trying to search his body, trying to find. He goes, "Let me see. There's got to be an identification somewhere." And he goes, "He probably came from the mall or something."
Yeah.
I thought to myself,
Yeah, that was crazy.
Yeah. So Charlie,
Would you do that?
Huh?
Like if you saw somebody on your roof, would you go, "Hey"?
Yeah, because why the hell would I want this random person up on my fucking roof?
I mean, yeah, I would do that too, but I'd be like, "Hey, what's going on?" Or call 911 somebody on my roof. But no.
No, but he scares the hell out of him. He slides off the roof, lands on the ground, and here comes Charlie acting like he's Carmen. Oh my God, you killed him! And
Yeah.
Charlie, didn't I tell you to get it? Yeah, didn't I tell you to stay in the house? So, then after that, they decide to check out the roof. But at that point, you know, Santa winds up giving a thumbs up. He disappears. Because remember, he also bangs into the ladder. And there's also a thing saying that
Yes.
Rose such a clatter company.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah,
want
and
to
he
talk
took-
about. But I want to talk about this. There's actually a fan theory out there.
Oh boy. Okay.
And you know, people who follow us on TikTok just love our fan theories.
All right, let's
They
get
don't
it.
listen to the podcast, but they love our fan theories.
Okay, let's go.
So there's a couple of them over here. So let's see here. So let's see. Santa Claus is a Time Lord. Although these differences are never explained, the Santa Claus on Reddit, this is a Reddit on theory on Reddit
Okay.
that offers the answer. According to theory, Bernard might be the son of the previous Santa Claus who fell off Scott's roof. If the theory is true, then Bernard was originally human, explaining his height, but chose to become an elf to stay with his father. Also, due to Santa's magic, he ages slower than most people, which would explain how he is older than Scott, but still appears older than the other elves. Additionally, he explains why Bernard is in a position of authority over the other elves, which he was Santa's son. Evidence for that theory includes Bernard's concentrating behavior towards Scott and his son Charlie. One of the key details about Bernard that supports this theory is his attitude towards Scott, especially during his first trip to the North Pole. In this scene, Bernard is somewhat grumpy and short-tempered with Scott, despite Scott being his new boss as Santa Claus. However, if the theory is true, then this scene takes place just after the death of Bernard's father. This makes it understandable that Bernard is upset with Scott, blaming him for Santa's death. Due to this, Bernard strictly adheres to the rules to deal with his father's death and still keeps the workshop running, and he places the same expectations on Scott.
Interesting.
So that's one theory.
Oh,
so what did you think of that theory?
That's a lot to take in, actually. Time Lord, Santa's son.
Yeah,
this
there's a lot going.
New Santa. Like, how many more? So the previous Santa was his dad, according to the theory, right?
Right.
So he was in the same position with Charlie, like with the divorced kid.
I don't know. I don't know about
into
that
the
part.
ladder, and then.
But you know, I like this theory a lot better than this one because it kind of makes sense. But
it's kind of like Will Ferrell's Elf.
Yeah.
Right. He's like human, but he was raised by elves.
Yeah, kind of.
What's the other theory? Do we have
Okay, so this is the one that I like. The Santa Claus endless cycle theory. The theory suggests that Santa Claus' role is never-ending cycle, and Scott Calvin is just one of the long line of unwilling recruits. Here's the breakdown. Santa's mysterious fall. At the beginning of the movie, the original Santa falls off the roof and disappears without explanation, leaving his suit behind. Fans speculate that this Santa may have fallen intentionally, knowing the Santa Claus contract would force someone else to take his place. Some even believe that the original Santa was tired of the job or wanted to retire but couldn't do so without passing on the mantle. The elves seem to know more. The elves at the North Pole show little concern about the original Santa's disappearance. They act as though this is a common occurrence, implying that they've seen Santas come in over time. Bernard's role, Bernard, the head elf, is surprisingly knowledgeable about the rules of the Santa Claus contract. This suggests he has overseen many Santas transition before Scott. The suit as a trap, the Santa suit and its magic seem designed to trap a new Santa. By putting on the suit, Scott unanimously blinds himself to the responsibility in magical transformation, making it almost impossible to escape the role. The potential for tragedy if Santa has to keep delivering presents every Christmas, this role could be dangerous. Over time, the Santa could have fallen victim to accident or simply aged out, forcing the cycle to repeat. And implications of the theory, this theory adds a darker layer, otherwise lighthearted Christmas story, and paints Santa Claus not as a magical gift, but as a blinding and unchemical contract that endless cycle of Santas.
Yeah, that one's more real to me. Yeah. But he did look surprised.
Right.
Like, oh no, I fell. But yeah, that would have been messed up. It's like, all I want to do is retire. I'm sick of being Santa.
Right.
And he fell off the roof and he disappeared and we don't know where he went to. So he's not dead. He just kind of...
He's naked somewhere.
Yeah. He's living his best life naked. He's like, I'm going to join a new compound and I'm going to just live my best life and F those kids.
Right? Screw those kids. I'm going to go to the Bahamas and lay out naked or go to a nudist colony.
I don't have to deal with Bernard no more. I don't got to deal with them stupid elves. I don't got to do nothing. And then where's Mrs. Claus?
Right? I think he was just a bachelor. I don't think...
Oh, what? A bachelor Santa? Oh
yeah, I think that's what it was.
How did that happen?
I don't know.
Because like, sorry for going ahead. In the second one, he had to have a wife.
Right.
Or he loses magic. So how did plot hole? So how did the previous one?
Let me tell you something.
Did she die before?
I was reading the comments before and everything. Now they actually explain all this stuff in the Santa Claus TV show, which I don't have time for. I'm not going to sit through a TV series explaining the origins of Santa
Claus. Like the Santa Claus.
Yeah.
That's I saw season 1. It was pretty good. I was surprised.
Okay. Well,
but
thank you for doing that. Thank you
Yeah, I
for
forgot what I saw, but yeah.
because I'm not going to sit through it. But anyway,
God, I can't. My
um,
mind is going down a rabbit hole. Get me focused, Sean. Get me
okay,
focused.
so now they're climbing up the ladder.
Okay.
They see Comet. They see the reindeer. Comet winds up farting. He says, "Easy, Rudolph," and he goes,
Ooh.
"Oh." Comet winds up doing that noise that Tamika just made. Oh, sorry, Comet.
Oh, excuse you? Like Scooby Doo? Scooby Doo Doo? Rudolph. My name is Comet. Yeah. I like these rings. Oh, go ahead.
No. Go ahead.
No. Go ahead. Finish.
Okay, so I like how the reindeer look. They actually look like actual reindeer.
That's what I was gonna say. I like
that's
these reindeers more than the second one. They just
the second one's like animatronics. They don't even look real.
They look too cartoonish.
I just don't like it. I don't like the look of it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
guess they were like, oh, the first ones are stiff, and I'm like, well, that's what I like about them. But it's like real reindeers are stiff. They don't have like cartoon eyes like this and like I'm a reindeer training.
No, that's a reindeer on cocaine. That's what it is.
That was the second one.
Right. I don't like the second one. I don't like the third. I just rather have the first one.
I forgot his name, but he was in training. Okay.
But
sorry. That's our Jar Jar Binks.
Okay. So anyways, but this is what I want to tell you though too. Charlie just goes in the sleigh, accepts it for what it is, doesn't question anything. This goes to show you the innocence of a child versus an adult, because Scott's over there going, Charlie, get out of that sleigh right now. And he's over and he goes, no. And he goes, look, I like how he also makes out the excuse of like, this is from the cable company. We're getting the Disney Channel. And then he tells Charlie, let's go. They wind up getting off the roof and they go over to this other person's house. And of course, he already puts on the step and he's like, look, I don't want to do this. I don't know why you're making me do this or anything like that. He goes, you're supposed to put on the suit.
Yeah.
And then the suit's big. He's like, well, I hope whoever's house I'm going into is a tailor.
Yeah. Yeah. You know how Tim Allen do his lines while he's like yelling at you.
Right.
Yeah, because that boy manipulated him. Because he didn't want to put on the suit, like you said. And then he was like, I'm not putting on a suit because this is stupid. How come everything I want to do is stupid? I didn't say that. Fine, I put the suit on. I'm like, come on, man.
And then he makes him go down the chimney because remember, he's like, he takes the bag. He doesn't know what to do. He just holds the bag up. He's floating. He goes, Dad, you're flying. He goes, it's okay. I lived through the 60s. I'm good. And then he goes down through the chimney. He gets sucked into the chimney. He comes into the house and he winds up, basically taking everything out of the bag. There was even a kayak in one of his bags.
That was cool.
I'm like, if I was him, I would have been pissed to know that I had to carry this thing out of this bag. Because I like how he actually puts it up against the wall and it slides down and he accidentally puts knocks down the Christmas tree. And then
nobody woke up.
No, nobody woke up except for this one person that heard him inside his house. And remember, he sets off the alarm.
Yeah,
he's trying to escape out the window.
And then it's like, who's down there? Oh, man, I don't know if this is the first movie that has ever shown like how it would be to be Santa. You always see the magical elements of, he came down the chimney, ate his cookies. It's like, no, he came down the chimney, he set off the alarm, the dog coming, somebody caught
he's a menace to society.
Yeah, menace to society. He breaking in people's homes. And he knocked over the Christmas tree. Like, this is like the first day of your new job, Santa. And that's what I like about this film. It's like, if you were Santa on the first day of your job, how would you handle this situation if somebody caught their gun and the alarm went off, or you knocked down the tree with the canoe? Like,
Right.
well, how do you navigate through that? It's like you learning on the job.
I agree. That's pretty much, if you think about it, yeah, it's actually Santa's first day on the job. So therefore, he doesn't know what to do or anything like that. So he just goes on ahead, sets up a bunch of alarms on an accident, takes the kayak and puts it
like
against the wall.
A real job. You don't get no training. It's like go, and you like go where what? How do I poke it down this chimney?
It's pretty much like if you got like a promotion because someone died, and so now you're stuck in that promotion. And you don't know what the hell to do because even the people that put you in front of it don't know what the fuck to do either. So they just like, well, good luck. Yeah. That's pretty much what happened with Scott.
Yeah. It was like they approach you, hey, here's a job. Jim died. And you're like, Jim died? When did this happen? Oh my God, I haven't got this job. What did Jim do?
Right. So now Scott's in there because somebody died. So therefore he's stuck with this job that he doesn't really know what to do.
God, John, I didn't even realize. I was so messed up. I got the job because the other guy died.
So then after that happens, he gets out of the chimney. He goes up the chimney, go over to the next house. You can still hear the alarm going off.
Yeah.
And he goes, this is going to be a long night.
It is.
And then he goes, look, I can't, there's no fireplace. Where there's no fireplace, I can't go. And look, there's nothing in the back. There's nothing in the bag. All of a sudden, it was automatically just filled with stuff again. Goes down the chimney, meets that little girl. And
man,
she's just like Charlie. This is actually basically Charlie's girlfriend. If she ever had a girlfriend, that would be the girlfriend. You're supposed to drink the milk. I like it. He goes, do you want this doll or not? And he throws the doll into the tree.
Yeah, see, that's the other side of the job. How do I handle annoying coworkers?
Which is the kids.
Or customer. Or how do I handle annoying customers?
Right? And then, because you're supposed to drink the milk. So he goes on ahead and goes, well, I'm lactose intolerant. And he takes a thing of celery and eats that instead of the milk. And then as he's going through it towards the fireplace, he goes, huh?
Who put celery out with Santa?
I don't know. That's like vegetarian.
Celery out.
You know what? They might actually be vegetarians. That's what.
I am lactose. I'm gonna take all these toys back. Now go to bed. Shut up. Before I smack the crap out of you. Take this damn doll.
But my favorite thing he does is he throws the doll into the tree, and then he goes back towards the fireplace, and he has the celery in his mouth. He goes, "You're supposed to drink the milk."
Yeah, yeah. And then he put it in his mouth like a cigar, like, "Yo, beat me up."
And then I like how they go. Now it's getting to be where he made all his rounds, and he goes, "All right, everyone, good night," and everything. And you know how Santa Claus says good night. He goes, "And when I wake up, I'm getting a CAT scan." So
I did not know what he meant when I was a kid. I was like, "Oh, that sounds fun."
You know what's bad? I think I knew what it was because my mom explained it to me. But get this, I may not have known what it was, but it just stuck with me. So I probably just told people I'm gonna get a CAT scan.
Oh no!
I don't know what I'm getting. But
oh boy!
But now we're in the North Pole. Now the final stop is the North Pole. They head elf Bernard, played by David Krumholtz, shows Scott a tiny inscription on the card which says that upon the death of the previous occupant, whoever wears the suit assumes the identity of Santa Claus and all the responsibilities that go with it. This is known as the Santa Claus, as in the clause, as stated by Bernard. You put on the suit, you're the big guy. In other words, he is now Santa for life. He also gives Charlie a snow globe. which is in Dollar General. Bernard also tells Scott that he only has 11 months until the next Thanksgiving to get his affairs in order before becoming Santa full time, which he tries to refuse. Then he meets an elf named Judy who gives Scott some pajamas and a warm drink. Sensing something is wrong, she talks to him. He explains that he stopped believing in Santa years ago, yet now he has to believe again. Judy assures him that seeing isn't believing, but rather believing is seeing, and explains that children don't need to see this place to believe it. It's real. They just know it. She says good night and gives him assurance. Charlie and he spends the night at the factory. The next morning, they wake up back in Scott's home, where the only indication of their previous night's adventure, Scott's new silk pajamas with SC, which stands for Santa Claus, or Scott's Calvin, monogrammed on them. Scott dismisses it all as a dream. So let's talk about the whole entire thing over in the North Pole.
Okay, got it.
So I definitely like how, they're out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
It's freezing cold, below zero. And Charlie goes, "Is this okay, Dad?" I'm like, "Why would this be okay? My balls are sticking to the freaking sleigh, but is this okay?" I'm in my underwear. I'm my bad. I have a satchel that I can barely fit in right now. And you're wondering if I'm okay. My balls are basically sticking to this sleigh, just like Jim Carrey and Jeff Daniels in Dumb and Dumber, sticking their tongues out onto the pole. But you're going to ask me if this is okay. No, this is not okay.
No, it's not okay. And that man been working all night. And he said, "All right, we're going home." It's like, oh, okay, I'm new on the job. I've been working all day. I want to go home. And then they're like, "Oh, wait, here go some place you need to go for further training." What is this? I didn't ask for this. I want to go home. And
basically, they send them to HR.
Yeah. And then what's always been unfair to me, how they expect somebody to read that small print? Do people carry around a magnifying glass and go,
well, that's the clause.
Yeah.
That's how they get you.
Did you read the clause? No, I didn't read the clause. What clause? It's like this teeny tiny print, and I'm supposed to know that there's a card in this Santa suit, and I'm supposed to have a magnifying glass and go, okay, now I can put this. Who in their right mind gonna know that?
No one. No one's gonna look through that.
Bernard.
Yeah. That's the elf for you.
And I was like, Scott, and then Bernard like, try to understand this. I was like, listen, Bernard, you need to calm down on that caffeine, brother.
You put on the suit. You're the big guy, so you're the boss now. Yeah. And I like how all the else is like, oh shit, Bernard's losing his shit.
Oh, again.
Right.
It's like, Bernard, you need to calm the F down.
Right.
First off,
I also like how the North Pole looks, though. I like how you have this little pole, and then the little thing comes out, and they type in a code, and then it just sinks down to the ground like it's this underground thing that nobody even knows about.
Yeah, I like that too. That's smart.
Yeah, I like that, and I also like the way that it has like icicles on the bottom of it to kind of blend in with the snow and stuff. I like that outlook of it.
Yeah.
The look of the North Pole still looks good.
Yeah,
in my opinion. But it just cracked me up because Bernard's on this attitude, like you said, like he's supposed to know. I'm not gonna read that shit. I'm sorry. I love my son, but I'm not gonna read that Santa Claus card.
How supposed to know? The last guy, how did he supposed to know? Did he yell at him too?
That's
Bernard seemed like he just been yelling at all the Santa Clauses.
No wonder why they wanted to die off the roof.
I throw myself off the roof too. I ain't going back to Bernard. Not one more Christmas. Done with him.
But and then I like how Charlie just all over the place. Bernard gives him the snow globe. He sees that there's magic in it. Then they go on this little train. Charlie's on this little train going under, he goes in on this little train. Mm-hmm. Yeah. He goes, well, I guess I'll just catch the next train then. And then Scott winds up meeting them in the room. I like how they have like this little door for Charlie to go in, and then boom, Scott just bumps his head.
Yes, the other part I like is how he just kept mispronouncing his name. He's like, "Look, Barabbas,
And it's
my name's Bernard Barnaby,
Barnaby.
Barney, Bob.
But
Look, Bob." Go ahead. I'm sorry.
no. You're good. But I like how the back and forth, the banter between them two, you know, because you put on the suit, you're the big guy. You're the Santa Claus. Do you understand? Not the Santa Claus. That's the clause. That's the clause within the card. You are now Santa. But the banter between them is really good for between the two of them. I really like it. Then finally you meet up with Judy, and I love how, you know, she gives him the hot cocoa. He goes, yeah, it only took me 1,200 years to make it. To learn how to get it down to perfection.
I will tell you the part that was kind of creepy. It seemed like he was hitting on her, and she like a 10-year-old kid, and he was like, well, "I must say you look good for your age." I think she said she was like 100 and something,
1,200 or something like that.
Yeah, she was like, "Thanks, I'm seeing someone in packaging
and wrapping."
I'm like, oh, okay.
I mean, okay. For me,
creepy.
It could be come off as creepy, but at the same time, I was looking at it like, you know, jokingly, because kids will do this where they're pretending to be a certain age or whatever, you know, like little small kids just jokingly. So I think he was just being sarcastic with her, but it could come off that way.
John, this is Scott Calvin. He will hit on anything. Okay. 1,200 years old, 19. He don't care.
Okay, you win.
I'm Scott Mother Blookin' Calvin.
But I like. What did you think of the whole entire puppets near the bed? And he takes off his
man, that was my favorite part. He's like, ah, oh my god. I'm like, well, how do get dressed?
Well, also too, how are you going to sleep with that? I'm sorry, but I would actually be knocking them out.
And who is with the puppets? Like, who controlling the puppets? Are there like elves controlling the puppets, or the puppets alive themselves? These are like questions that I ask myself now as an adult, and then it just gives me anxiety. I was like, are the puppets controlled by themselves? Like, it has to be like, because if like you're puppeting them, how are you supposed to see that he took his pants off?
Right. I think I don't know. But,
okay, sorry.
But, you know, then the next day they wake up, Scott's in the silk pajamas. He's thinking it's just a dream. The mother comes back, and Charlie's just gone ho. He's like, "Thank you, Dad, for the lovely time at the North Pole." And I'm like, then she's like, "Scott, what happened?" He's like, "What? I read him a bedtime story, and he just ran with it. That's it. I don't remember anything." And he goes, "Where did I get the pajamas at?" He goes, "Remember Judy?" "Oh, yes, right. Judy was the waitress over at Denny's." And then his wife just looks at him like, he goes, "Some waitress at Denny's got you pajamas."
Yeah, and I'll be like, jealous much?
Right. You have a psychiatrist at home.
I got a Denny's waitress. Okay.
Right. I can eat pancakes 24/7.
In your face, ex-wife, Jordan.
But then Charlie gets in the car and everything. It's like, "Thank you, Dad, for the lovely time at the North Pole. I'll see you. I love you." Aww. So now all of a sudden Charlie just loves him because now he's Santa, because he can get free shit now.
Yeah, pretty much.
So what did you think of those scenes though?
I thought they were really cute, and then you explained it that way, and I was like, oh, it's not so cute anymore. Because I was like, oh, he's bonding with his dad, and I was like, oh, John's right.
Because
that little bastard.
Charlie just got on my nerves. Like, even whenever he says, "Look, pal, can we just leave this between the two of us?" You mean like a secret? Yeah.
You
I'm
don't never
like,
tell kids nothing. They can't hold no secrets.
and then he goes, "I'll give you $5." And that didn't last.
No.
And then whenever went down to where the polar bear was, because look, Dad, these are just like the polar bears over at the North Pole. Hey, Charlie, can we just not talk about the North Pole anymore? Or anything? Let it be between the two of us. Okay, Dad. And every single time he says it, I'm like, shut up. Shut up. You're
Can't
rounding your.
tell them nothing. You can't tell them.
There's also that other part, though, too, where career day, you have the fireman there, you have Neil there. And because I want my dad to go first. Because, and I like how Neil's just looking at him, goes, "Are you sure that's what you want, Charlie?" And I like how Scott goes, "Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what he wants, Neil." My other question is too, how long are you gonna go? How many times are you gonna get one of those sweaters before the circus pulls out of town?
Oh my God. Dang, man. I was like, he coming in with the rib shots, and Neil just like, I love my wife. I love my wife.
But I do like the fact that Charlie wants to, put Scott first, and Scott winds up he goes, "Look, my dad is Santa. My dad pushed Santa off the roof, and he became Santa Claus."
Ooh.
And he goes, "No, Charlie, I'm like Santa because I make toys. I'm not Santa Claus." And then he winds up saying, I like how he has like the doll dress because he's sweating bullets.
Yeah.
But
yeah. And then the kids asking all them annoying questions.
So let me get this straight, Santa. All I have to do to become Santa is push you off the roof, and and I become Santa. What do you think?
Man, I'm telling you, I never cringed so much as I did that scene. Because he was like, okay, it started out nice. He was like, I work at a toy for my dad's Santa. What the fuck are you talking about? And then he's like, and then we went to North Pole, and then the head elf gave me this snow Charlie. He gave me, Dad, I got it. He gave me this snow globe. See this little snow globe right here, and then the reindeer, and then kids like, oh, I got questions. I got questions. So the elves, we call them little people. I was like, what the fuck is going? Like all these kids, like, ooh, and what about this? Ooh, what about that? And then you got that kid Townsend, so I just kill the other Santa to be Santa, commit murder, and that's how I can be Santa. I got to kill the previous one.
Right, just to become Santa. That's it.
Yeah.
And then here's the thing: I don't like the teacher. I don't like the principal. Like, what's wrong with the kid having an imagination? Is it such a crime to have an imagination to where, it's okay for Charlie to believe in Santa? It's okay for him to have an imagination. Why is this a bad thing for him to think this?
I guess it wouldn't be a bad thing. I would have to ask, is this harming his regular work? Like, is he failing in school because all he's thinking about is the North Pole? Is he doing, which we learned that's pretty much what happened. So maybe this is affecting his schooling. Like he keep thinking about the North Pole. He eat the North Pole. He breathe the North Pole. He sleep the North Pole. He dress up North Pole, North Pole, North Pole, North.
Well, remember this:
11 months of hearing about the freaking North Pole, and you flunking out of school
in 11 months.
You don't want to eat nothing, and you want me to buy all this crap because you packing up going to the North Pole. It's like there's only so much imagination you can have before you like delusional. So I think that was the concern. Like, I
didn't think of it like that though. That's actually an interesting take on that. because I was like, okay, is this so wrong to think that? But now that you mention it, 11 months of doing this, and then plus Charlie getting the kitchen chairs and putting it in his room and acting like he's doing the Christmas sleigh, and then when the chipmunks are playing in the background.
Like, okay, so if Charlie were doing his homework and then he's like, okay, I'm gonna just play North Pole, I would be like, okay, that's fine. It's annoying, but you getting your work done.
Right.
Yeah, but it's like, okay, play with the other kid. No, I'm just gonna do North Pole. I'm like, something wrong here. I would take him to a therapist too. I'm like, this bitch keep talking about the North Pole. Oh. Can you help him?
And then remember when Scott goes over to their house to pick up Charlie?
Yes, yes.
And he's over there being doing a psychiatry thing with him.
Yeah, yeah, I remember that.
And he takes Santa and he actually puts them on a globe. Because how can one man travel all the way around the world in one night? And Charlie has an explanation for everything that Neil is trying to corner him with.
Yeah, I was impressed by that.
He's like, so how does people with no chimneys? Oh, they kind of just get sucked in like this. And then he goes, okay, but well, how does this work or that work?
Yeah.
And he had explanation after explanation of it. And then he breaks it down like Judy does. And he goes, just because you don't see it doesn't mean it's not real.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I would totally be concerned too.
Right. My other favorite quote though that happens inside the principal's office though too is he asked Neil winds up asking him, Scott, what was the last thing you and Charlie did before you went to bed Christmas Eve? We shared a bowl of sugar. Did some shots of brown liquor. Played with with my shotguns. With my shotguns. Phil dressed a cat and looked for women.
And they kept that, but they couldn't keep 1-800 SPANK-ME.
Right. But, you know, I just thought that some of that stuff is really good. But then, you know, like you said, now we're getting into this other thing now where soon, however, starts. Okay, so now we're getting into the whole deal of after he winds up trying to bribe Charlie by keeping everything shut and stuff like that. Now he's starting to gain weight. And he's starting to show. And, you know, soon, however, Scott starts gaining weight. And his boss, Mr. White, tells him that he looks like the Pillsbury Doughboy. He develops a revenue taste of Christmas treats like Christmas cookies, hot cocoa. Yeah. He grows a long beard, and shaving it off has no effect. It grows instantly. His hair whitens despite all attempts to dye it. He somehow knows who has been naughty and nice. Children who somehow know he's Santa, despite not addressing the part, approach him with gift requests. Scott's rapid transformation worries his ex, Laura, and her new husband, Neil, who try to terminate the visitation rights to Charlie. They question Scott's mentally is Scott mentally stability, and believes that his changes are attempts at getting Charlie to like him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Would you think the same thing if you didn't know anything about this? Like, let's say it wasn't real.
Yeah. I would be thinking he was delusional. I'd be wondering, okay, even though I'm a stepfather to this kid, is Scott trying to pull something underneath me to where basically is nepotism, where he's pulling the strings on this kid to where he doesn't like me and now he's liking his biological father more. Therefore, he's not going to listen to me. He's not going to do anything I tell him to do because he likes his father.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that is dangerous, like changing your appearance so that somebody can like you, and it's unhealthy. Like she said, this is an unhealthy obsession you have. Not thinking like them, you know, like this isn't real. This is unhealthy obsession you have. You changing your appearance. I would be concerned too. Now, what they did, taking vegetation right before Christmas, I would have waited till after Christmas to do that.
Well, do you think that they didn't have a choice in the matter because of the fact that like you said, it's 11 months of him doing this all the time.
Yeah.
And it's just getting worse. And now his appearance now is actually looking weird.
Yeah.
And also even at his job, it's also affecting his job now too.
Oh, yeah, it is.
Because remember, he goes into that meeting with his boss.
Yeah.
And remember the pitch at the meeting? He's like, he goes, okay, so he winds up ordering hot chocolate. He orders cookies. He orders a hot fudge sundae and a whole cold glass of milk to wash all that stuff down.
Yes.
Then, I like how he also used the excuse, oh, I got stung by a bee. A very big bee. And then he also used the excuse of something happened to his clothes where they got caught on fire. Some kind of a chemical fire at his house.
Yes. And his appearance, I was thinking, okay, that shouldn't matter if he gained weight because he's not I guess he makes public appearances.
I would think,
but he could tailor suits for that. But I guess what really affects his job is the ideals he has are limited for toys, and they're trying to cater to the market of like you said, what is that? Like a tank?
Yeah,
Santa in a tank.
Yeah,
they're trying to get away from traditional toys and get to like G.I. Joe type to the market, and he's stuck in no, Santa isn't in a tank, he's in a sleigh, and he's trying to just keep it traditional, and that could affect the company. So that part I can see the boss going, oh, I'm concerned about your work performance, but him being fat and eating cookies and stuff, I wouldn't be too concerned,
right?
Maybe about.
My favorite quote that he also says too, well, isn't that a pretty picture? Santa rolling down the block and a panzer. Well, kids, I certainly hope you've been good this year, because it looks like Santa just took up the Parson home. Incoming! But yeah.
Incoming! And he was right. He was like, have you ever tried to build this? It's 1,000 pieces and it's going to tear it. And the guy was like, well, that's the point. He's like, no. And I was like, yeah, that does make sense. It's 1,000 pieces to put this stuff together. And then it's going to break and then you got to do it again. What?
But here's the thing, though. Major companies don't care about that. They only care about profit and stuff like that, and making money off of the kids. And of course, the parents are going to buy it, and then the kids are going to break it. Yeah. Then they have to try and figure out a way to go about trying to fix it. And then they have to buy another toy. So therefore, they're making their money back from the original parents that bought certain toys.
And that's where that affected his job, because he was for the people and not the company.
Right. And then also with remember the other thing that too at the doctor's office? He's over there on the treadmill and he's exercising, doing the stress test. And he goes, look, how I have a question. He goes, what's that? How fast does facial hair grow? He goes, why? He goes, because whenever I shave, I look like this.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like, okay, so you put on a little weight. Does this look like a little weight?
Yeah,
does this look like a little weight? And then
fluctuates.
Right. And then he winds up telling Scott, he goes, well, what have you been eating? Cookies, milk. He goes, you see, this is just a problem. Just stay away from the sweets. Cut back on the sweets and you're good to go. And he goes, well, let me listen to your heartbeat. And it winds up playing Jingle Bells.
Yeah. Yeah. And he did have like these great questions for the doctor. He was like, why does my hair look like this? And he's like, well, we're getting old, buddy. I was like, these aren't medical answers. You're just telling me.
Not only that, but Scott's 35 years old.
Yeah. Nobody
like
looks like that at 35.
Well, I have gray hair at 30 something.
Do you have Scott Calvin issues? When you have like a big, thick beard and bushy white hair at 35?
No.
That's very concerning. I guess
it is.
He could have said maybe it's a hormone imbalance. We'll try to get.
Well, he did.
But I guess
that.
they didn't want to get that deep into it.
Well, he did. he did say that. He goes, it might be something that you're eating or whatever that's causing it to go that way. That's what he said.
Okay.
But even then, you're not going to gain that much weight and have that much hair on your face either and stuff either. But so now we're getting into this other deal now inside and where Charlie's playing soccer, and the kids are playing. And I also like this other thing though too. I'll be real with you. There's actually a guy that used to work in the post office with that kind of beard. I'm serious, and he reminded me so much of that dude back in the days in the 90s for me.
Oh my God.
So, anyways, he's sitting there on the bench, and then all of a sudden, this little girl comes over to him and taps him on the shoulder. And I like how Scott's over there trying to avoid her.
Yeah.
And just like, I want a Barbie. And get this though, that's actually the same little girl that played on Look Who's Talking Too.
Oh my God, no. She is annoying. Oh my gosh.
But,
and where's her parents?
Huh?
Where's her parents, John? Why is she
I don't know
coming
where
to
Kirstie Alley was or John Travolta was at that time.
Hell no.
Yeah, I'm doing a shared universe. Look Who's Talking.
Where is her parents? I mean, she coming up to a strange man in the park, and he could have just swiped her away.
Right.
And
Next thing you know, all these other kids
lap.
Right. And then next minute, you know, there's actually these other kids lining up.
Yeah. I would charge every one of their parents. You want to see me? That would be $30.
Pay a random stranger to be Santa Claus. So.
Yeah.
Right. Also, too, we also have the other thing, too, that happens before this is the Santa list with the FedExes. And then you also have this other thing where he goes, walking down the street, Tommy, bad.
Mm-hmm.
Danny, bad. Debbie, bad. And then, Veronica, bad.
In your dream slave
Naughty,
boy.
right? Once again, you could add that, but you could have 1-800.
Man.
But,
yeah. And she had that short skirt on too.
Yeah. So what do you think of the park scene with the kids being lined up with Santa? I know we talked about it a little bit, and then you also have Neil and then Scott's wife coming over there, Laura.
Once again, it's one of them cringe moments because I'm like, oh no, oh God, they keep coming. Oh geez. And then she was like, Scott, and he was like, oh, I know what this looks like. I was like, oh my God, this couldn't have come at a worse time. This man trying to be normal. He trying to watch his kid's soccer game. Oh my gosh. It was just awkward. It was like super cringe. As an adult now, it's super cringe. As a kid, I was like, oh my God, it's so funny. Ha ha ha. But as an adult, it's super cringe because you're rooting for Scott. And all this stuff keep happening. And it's like, oh my gosh.
And he
like,
even said these kids just randomly showed up. He wasn't counting on that. It's not like he had a sign like at the mall. It's like meet Santa. There was no sign there that said meet Santa or anything. These kids just lined up.
Yeah. Yeah. And all these things keep happening to him because of this Santa Claus. Like all these things keep attracting him. Like reindeer follow behind him. Polar bears are drawn to him. Children want to come see him and all this other weird occurrences happening. And it's like, I'll be pissed because it's ruining my life and it's ruining my life with my child. This whole Santa Claus thing is going on that I got.
Right.
I mean, isn't this the opposite of supposed to bring me joy and help other kids out? But then my family life has to be wrecked because of it.
This is not what I signed up for. To be Santa.
Being too adult with this movie.
Well, that's one thing about it though. As kids, we don't think about that kind of stuff.
No.
We don't think of it. And we always looked at it like Neil was the bad guy. We always thought Scott was the good guy.
Yeah.
Which really, these are just two different people in a situation of trying to do what's right for the kid. That's all it is. And that's where they have that common ground on. But as a kid, we're thinking Neil's the villain. We're thinking Scott's the good guy because he's Santa. We're not thinking about the fact that this is actually a little creepy with kids showing up randomly at Scott or anything, because we're not adults, we're kids. So through the innocence of the child, we're thinking, oh, this is actually pretty funny, you know? But when I see them, I'm like, no, this is not good for Scott. This is definitely not good. And then next thing you know it, they're inside the lawyer's office, and and then Charlie winds up going inside there to see the judge, because don't worry, Dad, I told him everything about the North Pole. I'm like,
oh, Jesus.
At this point, I turn into Arnold. I'm like, shut up.
You told him everything? Oh my gosh.
So they wind up telling him, hey, look, Scott, you're not, because of the stuff that you're going through, we no longer feel like that you're a good fit for Charlie anymore. So therefore, I hate to do this on Christmas, but you're not going to have any type of visitation rights.
Yeah. And now I have to go. I got this drama in my life. Now I got to go and be Santa Claus. And I got visitation taken away to see my own child.
Right.
How do you reconcile that in your head?
It's sad.
Yeah.
It really is.
It was really depressing. That's one of the most depressing parts of the film.
Yeah, it kind of slows down within that 40-minute mark, or 30 or 40-minute mark, I think.
Yeah.
Where it's like, you're laughing through this movie.
Yep.
And then it kind of takes a turn where it's kind of slowed down to the point there's a lot of deep things that happen.
Yeah.
Within it. And as a kid, this is supposed to be for kids, but it's a little too deep to be for kids to take in. I get the fact they probably want to take in the fact that with divorce and trying to help kids get through it.
Yeah.
But that's a little bit of a deep cut.
It was, yeah, it was deep. It was deep. I mean, I was sad as a kid. I was like, oh, that's sad. But as an adult, I'm like, that is just depressing AF.
It really is. It made me
it made
me cry. Yeah.
Oh, no.
That's where it broke me right there. Because as a father, even though my stepfather or whatever, it still breaks my heart.
Father. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and imagine that happened, and then they come to you like, okay, Santa, now you're like, Santa, fuck this shit. Enough on my plate. I'm going to throw myself off the roof.
But now we have, while visiting Charlie on Thanksgiving, Charlie's instance that Scott is Santa reawakens Scott's magic, and he, with Bernard's help, whisk Charlie away to the North Pole. Flora and Neil, who thinks Scott has kidnapped Charlie against his will, call the police, who make a massive investigation. So this is where it starts picking back up again to where it becomes a lot. There's a serious moment, but it's also kind of funny though too.
Yes, it's funny, and also like, you know what? I would have called the police too. My deranged ex-husband has kidnapped our child.
Right. And Bernard's like, yeah, he can come with us. And then this is also that moment too where Neil, before that happens, Neil comes in as well and stuff like that, and asks Laura to come in the back, and Charlie winds up throwing the ball at him. Come on, Dad, remember? And throws the snow globe at him.
Yeah.
And then he remembers. And then he's like, Bernard, is it okay for me to go to the North Pole? Well, it's okay with me. Of course he's going to say it's okay with him. He's an elf.
Yeah, he don't. Oh my gosh. It was just terrible. And then he was like, yeah, you can go. I was like, no, Scott, he can't go. You know you're in big trouble. You know what they're going to do. I think Scott was like, well, nothing else they can do to me.
I'm Santa Claus.
Yeah, I heard to a visitation. Might well go kidnap my son.
might as well go the extra mile.
Might well just take you to come on with me.
Right? Like all
Well, he left a note though. Charlie left a note. He was like,
Right.
"I'm going to the North Pole with Dad."
That's even worse because it makes it look like he's holding him hostage. It has that situation from Big with Tom Hanks where he writes to his mom.
Mm, mm, mm.
But
Oh, Jesus.
and so at this point they tell him, "Hey, look, Scott, we ended up making all this other stuff. We made a two-way walkie-talkie. We made a disc changer that pops out a cookie. We made a fire flame."
Excellent.
Yep. And he goes, "Well, what about if I fall off the roof?"
Yeah, they didn't have an answer for that yet.
No, because that would be part of the clause
Yeah.
inside the contract. That means they have to make a whole new card
Yeah.
in case of anything. So they don't have time for that.
Yeah, they thought about everything else except he fell off the roof.
Right. But then you also have the police investigation, which I think is hilarious because, and I like how they have that meeting, that briefing that they have. Goes, look, he thinks he's 35 years old. He thinks he's Santa Claus. This is going to be a hard one to search. He goes, well, wouldn't the red suit give it away?
And then everybody like Santa Claus, they shaking him down.
Right. And then they also do a lineup and they have one random black dude up in there. I'm like,
Yeah, always.
Why? I said the kid is white. There's no reason. Could you imagine? Could you imagine like you have an audition and then they like, look, you didn't get the role for any other part in this movie.
Yeah.
But you did land you did land something to be an extra in this movie. Okay, cool. Here, put this on. This is your Santa Claus outfit. Stand over there in this wall, and this is your lineup. Therefore,
you remember the Santa Claus from Home Alone?
Yeah.
Yeah, they should have shook that guy down. He was sketchy AF.
He was very sketchy.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the one that need to go to jail.
But also too, we also have another moment where basically you have Laura telling Neil that, you know, the reason why she stopped believing Santa because of that mystery date game. She didn't get that.
Yeah.
And Neil's is pretty petty. He wanted a Oscar Mayer wiener whistle,
right? Yeah.
And that's when he stopped believing in Santa.
At 3. And she said, at 3? He's like, yep. I'm like, that. I stopped believing when I was like, oh my God, I hear Santa. And then I saw my parents being past the tape. I said, oh, what is this? What? There's no Santa. What's my parents doing? Oh my That's how I stopped believing. I thought I'm gonna catch Santa in the act and I'm gonna say hey to him. They're my freaking parents wrapping gifts. I was like,
see, I didn't get that. I didn't bust my parents. My mom had to explain to me that there was no Santa.
Dang. Wait, how old were you? Do you remember?
I was 10. I was 9 or 10.
How old I was when I was being nosy.
And then I thought to myself, well, I had the Easter Bunny and the Tooth Fairy, so I'm good. That's what I was thinking.
Man, I'm gonna tell this.
That's what I was thinking about. I was like, well, that sucks.
Go ahead.
No Santa. Well, I still got the Easter Bunny. I still got, and I also have the Tooth Fairy, so I'm good. And then all of a sudden I found out that's not true either.
I was devastated, man. I remember in kindergarten, they had us write letters to Santa. And then the FedEx guy showed up with the doll that I wrote Santa. And I was like, oh, cool. FedEx works with Santa too. And I was like, oh my God, he got my letter. And then he had it come through FedEx.
Well, I asked my mom this. I said, why do I have two of the same toy? And why are we going over to Toys R Us? Oh, because Santa works for Toys R Us.
Man, I gotta say, it's difficult being a parent.
Yeah.
Like, when do you tell your kid? Like, do you just tell them, okay, it's no Santa, it's just me? Or do you just keep up the facade for 11 months?
keep up with
That's
the
a tough
facade
one.
for 11 months until he reaches till he's 10 years old on his birthday.
Yeah, or until they nosy like me. I'm gonna
Right.
catch Santa in the and I left out cookies, John. I left out cookies and milk. Do you understand? I did all that cheesy stuff, and
I
then
did too.
when I told my parents I saw them and stuff, and they were like, "Oh," and Dad was like, "Oh, thank goodness, I don't have to eat them cookies anymore." I was like, "Oh, you ate the cookies and milk too? Dang, Dad."
Man.
Oh my God. And my little world turned upside down. I was like, oh my God.
But okay, so we have those moments, and then you also have where before all that happens too, you actually have Charlie talking to
Okay, I'm okay.
yeah, you have him talking to the ex-wife, talking to Laura, saying that they're okay, they're at the North Pole, they're good. Then he winds up he goes, "Hey Dad, can we go over to their house? That looks like Neil's and Mom's house down the street." Yeah, we can go there.
Yeah, I got
So
a
basically,
I was like, no, we can't go there, fool. They're looking for us by now.
but just like white people, they go on ahead.
Yeah. Yeah, then he get arrested.
Yeah, he gets arrested. Charlie's stuck on the roof. Then you have the elves come in, flying on their jetpacks. And I like how one of the elves goes, "It's okay, Charlie. We're one of the good guys. We're the good guys." And then they go on ahead. They do this rescue mission inside the police station. But I like also too how they're interrogating Scott. Because
Yeah.
I'm gonna say your name, and you're gonna tell me what your name is. Oh, Gijo. I remember Ed Sullivan's show with Papa Gijo, so I just started cracking up laughing.
Oh, that's where that came from?
Yeah, you know,
Dang.
I grew up like in old TV shows. I'm gonna have to show you what Papa Gijo looks like, but basically it's this mouse, this puppet mouse.
Like name Scott Calvin. Name City Claus. Yeah. That part was hilarious to me. He's like,
Chris
okay,
Kringle.
Scott. Yeah, Chris Kringle. Yeah, every variation of Santa Claus, Papa Noel. He's like, oh my gosh. Okay. Okay, Scott.
But yeah, they wind up rescuing Scott out of the police jail with the tinsel. And I like how the prisoners are like, "Hey, look, I like that. Can I get some tinsel?"
You on a naughty list.
Right. And then also, too, they wind up taking the cop and turning him around and tying him up with Christmas rope.
Yeah, then they put a donut in his mouth.
Yeah. Charlie puts the donut in his mouth. Oh, yeah. Little fun fact. Subway actually had Happy Meals with the Santa Claus toys. Actually had one of the elves.
Oh, wait. What did McDonald's have? Did they have one?
Nothing.
Too?
They didn't have.
What? McDonald's?
No, they didn't have it. But Subway did. That does not make sense at all.
Doesn't make sense. McDonald's be cashing in on everything.
Right. But yeah, so to his parents, to whom Santa gives him the. Okay, so this is now where Laura finally realizing her mistake of not accepting that Scott is the new Santa Claus. Santa tosses the custody papers into the fireplace and welcomes Scott to come see Charlie anytime he wants. Bernard tells Charlie that the snow globe is magic. Anytime he wants to see his father to visit, all he has to do is shake it. Neil owes Charlie an apology and refusing to accept that Scott is the new Santa, and Charlie forgives him. After 10 minutes, Charlie shakes it, and Scott comes back, says he was off to Cleveland, and takes Charlie with him.
Yeah, because he came back, and then Bernard was there.
Yeah.
And then Bernard was like, this is a nice weather.
We make this?
And Neil's like, he's trying to get us into his delusions, Laura.
And then he looks at
this is nice.
But remember this though, too? He looks straight up at Scott first, looks into his eyes, goes, "Santa?" And then after that, Bernard just randomly shows up with a sandwich from a sub sandwich that he
it
made
was
that was
dry,
all
by the
lettuce.
way. He said, boy, this turkey is dry.
Dry. Yeah. And then he goes, then after that he goes on ahead, oh, did we make this? Did we make the sweater? And he snatches the food away from Bernard. Because, you see, Laura? He's trying to take us away from these illusions, like you said, Tomeka. But you do it better than I do.
Yeah.
But.
No. It's fine. No, it's like, Santa? It's okay, Neil. Oh no. No. Like, oh my God. And then, well, you're gonna say it. They got their toys. He got his little weenie whistle, and she got her mystery date game.
Yeah.
And how petty of us to stop believing because we didn't get what we wanted.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
But I never was that petty, though. If I didn't get it, I just didn't get it. I had plenty of other things my mom got me that I forgot about what I asked for.
I don't know if I got almost everything I asked for. I didn't get some stuff, and I was angry a little bit. But my parents could say, "Oh, maybe Santa was busy and he just forgot it." And then I was like, "Oh," and I was like, "He better not forget next year."
Well, I remember asking my mom, for an Edward Scissorhands action figure. I didn't know if that even existed or anything like that at that time.
Mm-hmm.
So instead, she gets me a Wolverine instead.
Oh, close enough.
Yeah, but
I'm an adult now. I get my own toys.
But I got this at the mall when I was like 14 or 15 years old.
Yeah.
And paid $8 for it. But
yeah. I get my own toys.
I got my Edward Scissorhands toy that I didn't know existed until I went to the mall and seen the Scott McFarlane action figure.
Ooh, nice.
But yeah, all in all, this movie's good. It has some rough points. It slows down a little bit towards the middle of it, and even maybe in the end of it. But I was also thinking to myself though too, it was like, just because you burned those papers does not mean that is legally that you can see your kid. You have to go back to the court.
Yeah.
You have the documentation that you burned at the end of the movie. So therefore it's still legal even though you burned that. That does not mean that it just all of a sudden it doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah. No, they still exist. You gotta go through the whole court process and do all the other stuff. But,
right.
They didn't have time to show that in the movie.
No, they didn't. But okay, so now that we stripped away the nostalgia of it, now that we talked about it with a modern day eye, what are you gonna give it?
Yes. Okay, I still love it. It's still like a 8. 8.5.
Okay. It's really hard.
Like touching 9.
Yeah. It's really hard not to go low with this because of how much I love this movie as a kid and also growing up. And I watch it regardless of the fact of how old I am.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to go at least an 8.5 out of 10 for this.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But yeah.
Now you asked me about 2 and 3. That's probably gonna be rated differently.
I've seen part 2. I actually seen part 2 and part 3.
Yeah.
Those are like fever dreams to me. They don't exist.
But part 2 is where it get like really deep into the issues of Charlie.
Yeah, it really does.
Yeah. And then 3, I don't know what issue 3 got into. That's just like some fever dream. Let's just put Martin Short in it. And I was like, what is the
Jack Frost.
There's a theme of this one. Yeah, what is the theme of this one? Jack Frost is jealous. Oh, spoiler alert. Jack Frost is jealous of Santa taking his shine.
But yeah, all in all though.
I know what it is. Scott is a workaholic again in 3. And he
So
can't be
even
there for his in-laws visit.
okay, I gotcha.
Yeah. Okay. Go ahead.
I forgot what 3 was about. I remember 2 was because it was dealing with Charlie about adolescent age, acting out, and he
Yeah.
falls in love, and then Scott winds up falling in love with the principal of the school.
Yeah.
See, I remember pretty
Yeah.
much a
3
little bit
was
of the plot line.
3 was she got pregnant. Scott is a workaholic, and that's affecting their relationship. And then the in-laws are coming in town, but they told them that they in Canada. He's like, there's a lot of little people in Canada. Oh my god. And then something about his magic. Yeah, he stole his magic, Jack Frost. And then Jack Frost turned the North Pole into like Disney World. So he made it open to the public and made it into a theme park and started charging people and overworking the elves. I'm telling the whole story because we're not going to review 3.
No, we're also not going to
yeah.
do 2.
Yeah, so yeah, that's pretty much the premise of 3. And somehow Scott tricks Frost and gets the suit back, and he gets the magic back, and he lets his in-laws into the secret club of he's Santa Claus. The only interesting thing was in 3 is what will happen if you open the North Pole to the public. And
It's
it
kind of
turns
like
into
opening the world of Jurassic Park. Turns into Jurassic Park.
It's like corporate greed, and the magic and the illusion goes away. So that was the only interesting part in 3.
Okay.
That's all I have to say.
Okay. Well, that's going to be it as far as this review goes for the Santa Claus. I will be back tomorrow night at 8 o'clock Central Time, 9 o'clock Eastern Time to review Dexter, the new Dexter TV series, Original Sin. They just dropped episodes 2 and 3. So I'll be reviewing both 2 and 3 tomorrow night at 8 o'clock Central Time, 9 o'clock Eastern Time for the origin stories of Dexter. Monday, what am I doing Monday? Probably nothing. I don't have anything planned out for Monday or anything like that. So I got nothing planned out. So that's going to be it. I do, but still, I'm a workaholic just like Scott is. So,
man, come on now. Don't let no Santa Claus fall off the roof and trip you.
Okay, I'll make sure.
Okay, good.
But anyways, guys, I hope everyone has a great and blessed Merry Christmas. If I don't talk to you guys sooner, Tomeka, I wish you and your family a happy Merry Christmas as well.
Yes, Merry Christmas, Kwanzaa, Hanukkah, and everything else to everybody else. I forgot how you say that. Christmas, Hanukkah.
Yeah, Hanukkah. And Hanukkah, the last Hanukkah's actually on
when you say it. Like the Rugrats. You have to when you say it. Okay.
All right, guys. Well, that's going to be it as far as the show goes. I hope everyone has a great and safe night, and we'll catch you guys on the next one. See ya.
Oh, boy.